Hey, this is Mr. Everything, and I have a review of the Xbox One controller. This is just a standard controller. There's really no different controllers out there, except maybe just design-wise. There's the Titanfall, and it's supposed to be a white one. I think they're working on a few more, but uh, as you know, I did a review of the connectless Xbox One about probably going on a month now, and people seem to really enjoy that video. So I wanted to do one just solely on the controller because it would have made the review of that even longer. And I think the main thing I'm going to do is compare it to other controllers because, like Boobs, I've touched and held many other controllers, and there goes the professionalism of this review. But sadly, I don't have a PS4 controller, but I have the 360 controller and the PS3 controller, and the PS3 controller is kind of similar to the PS4. The PS4 is still kind of that same form factor, but just a lot more ergonomic and wider where you need it. But for the main purpose, I'll probably be comparing it to the 360 controller. I think that's the best comparison. But to just start out, I just want to talk a little bit about the there goes my mic. The features. When you pick it up, the first thing I noticed, if I can get a good enough shot, is this like almost matte looking finish, very similar to the Xbox One console itself, and it definitely looks nice and it feels good. But I noticed, like, when I first got this controller compared to the 360 controller, like, I just kept slipping out of my hand. I think I actually dropped it because it's just very hard, but it's very well made. It doesn't feel cheap. Even the 360 controller was well made, but it feels more high quality than it. And of course, you can see that at the beginning I turned the light on, so that's why it's white. It's normally kind of a hazy looking clear color off of it. So again, the feel, you would look at it and you would think it's the same as the 360 controller, but they're really quite different. There, as Microsoft said, there's like 40 or 50 some improvements. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about my personal experiences and how I feel with it. And one of the big proponents of me in this controller, and like a deciding factor, is getting the Xbox. I really liked the. Let's see if I can get this right here. Let's see, focus there. Would be this analog stick, as you can see, kind of like the grippy surface going around. That I really liked that. That was just really impressive compared to like the other controllers, and I don't think we've ever really seen anything like that. And it's just very it actually makes a difference. Like, sometimes they wear down. So far this hasn't worn a bit, and I think people have said that the thumbsticks are smaller, but I haven't noticed that. Maybe they are, but I can care less because I love the controller. And one of the biggest revisions was this D-pad that actually kind of points in all four directions, opposed to the 360 one, which it pointed in all four, but it was kind of would go in any direction. So you can still do clicks in like with both, but with this one it would register like all the time as a wrong click. So that's definitely something they've improved. Another thing I noticed, I don't know about you, but when I first saw the controller, you can see my light there blink for some reason. I must have turned my Xbox on when I did that. I thought that this was a touch sensitive button and that you just touched it and it came on, but it actually does recede in a little bit. It's an actual button. If you want, there we go. You can see it presses in, but it's very nicely done. It looks a lot better up there, so it's not in the way when you press either of these buttons. And speaking of those two buttons, we used to have a button called start and select, or back and start, and now I know this one's called menu, but I'm not exactly sure what this one's called. I guess it's like a multitasking, but in case people still haven't figured out yet, they still have the exact same features as a start and select or back and select, or I should say back and start button. This still brings up your leaderboards in Call of Duty. That still brings up the start menu. It's not like anything has really changed. It's just they just call them something different. And there's really very little use for that multitasking button or whatever it is on the Xbox One operating system. It really doesn't do anything. Like all of your features come from the actual Xbox button, like snapping or holding it to. You can't do a screenshot yet, but I think that is where you can do it through, is if you hold that and then go to screenshot when you have the option to do that. Another thing I really liked is the revision to the triggers, which I think they did a good job with. They have, it's going to be kind of hard to pick this up because it's all black and it reflects and everything, but it kind of has, the triggers are a lot wider this time compared to the 360s, which are just like these little narrow ones, but they certainly did the job, and I remember everyone liked them. But they were also, you can see, two separate parts, like the trigger to the bumper are separate parts, and this time they're still separate, but they kind of built the design to make it look like they were integrated together, and I really like that personally. See if I can get this at an angle that the light reflects off of it better, kind of like right there. Yeah, these are just much heavier duty, better looking triggers, and you can see that because they have that same surface area that the previous one had, but they also have this area added on so you can kind of reach it from the side and stuff. It's just better. It hugs your finger a little bit better. But another complaint people have had is with the bumpers this time. They're much bigger and they stick out a little bit more, which I like. But people say, like, you really can't click them up top. Like, just, you got to use a lot more pressure, and sometimes you don't get it, as opposed to like down here where it's super easy. And I mean, for me, I've never, like, my thumb or my fingers always, I just hold it like that. I just press down here and it works fine for me. Sure, like, they don't really click up there, but again, it doesn't bother me, so I like it. I mean, I like this new controller. And that really leads me to, you know, comparing this to the 360 controller. This one just feels better. Of course, there's no battery door that just sticks out like on the 360, so that helps, and it's more integrated, the cleaner lines and everything. And I just prefer this controller. Actually, going back to the 360 controller, this one, it just feels sticky, like I'm used to that. It's more slippery material, like you don't have where it gets like really shiny on the back, because there's really not any texture to it, and it just kind of feels sticky when you sweat especially. I don't prefer this controller as much. It's still definitely usable, but this one just feels fuller, and I can feel some differences right here. It's just more comfortable. It fills my hand better, and I just prefer it all around. Sadly, you can't use the Xbox One controller on the 360 or the 360 controller on the Xbox One, so you know, you can't. It's kind of unfortunate you can't go and use it on the 360, which would kind of be nice. And again, I don't have a PS4 controller, but I do have a PS3 controller, and I don't even like the PS3 controller compared to the 360 controller. I get used to it. I can certainly use it, but it just feels, everything feels a little too close, and the sticks are too loose. But the PS4, again, it's kind of the same, just a little bit better ergonomics. I would still prefer the Xbox One controller because I have used the PS4 controller like on demos and stuff at GameStop and Walmart and stuff, and it is much better and it feels good. But I still prefer the Xbox One controller. It just all around seems to be better designed, and I like it. But both controllers are good. One thing I did notice with the PS4 controllers is they're like pads on the analog sticks kind of wear down pretty quick. So that's kind of unfortunate because these ones are, again, very heavy duty, very thick, and they have that texture. I don't think they'll be wearing out for years. And I should also mention that I have the Xbox One Play and Charge kit installed, so it comes with AA batteries. See, trying to look through the viewfinder there. Just has this little pack, and I guess it would help if I could not put it in. There we go. And I really like it. It's about $25, but I really think it's a good price. So I know people would like to have had it come with it, and that would have been nice if they did that. But I enjoy it. And the Play and Charge kit, I get about probably at least 30 hours to a charge. I think it's really good. And I like the cable has an LED light on it, like right there, which will let you know it's green. I think it's red when it's charging, or orange, and then it turns white. That little LED there, so it just looks nice, and it's a good add-on for it, or accessory. And you can also use the batteries, AA batteries, if you want. Oh, I can just think of like some features. The impulse triggers, I would like to see them being used more. They're really not used for some reason. The only game I really ever noticed that they worked in was NBA 2K14. Like if you don't cross the center of the court, and you're gonna like have a backcourt violation when the seconds start ticking down, like you can feel them rumble, which is kind of dumb of all games to have impulse triggers would be a basketball game. People have said that Ghost has it, and I do kind of notice that I feel a little bit more vibration in the controller when I'm firing a weapon on Ghost compared to like another game where you might be. I think Battlefield might take advantage, but it's so minutely done you really don't even notice it. So I would like to have more games that use the impulse triggers and make it more obvious that they're being used. Maybe Ghost doesn't even use it. I know Forza uses it, but I've only used it with that game like one time because I have the steering wheel. So there's really no point in me just using it for it. But that was a game that they well utilized the triggers, but they were one of the main developers that wanted that feature, so of course they would have it to where it would work. So just in the future, I'd like to see more games use that. And there's really not too much else to say. I mean, it's just a controller. It works fine. I love it. Again, it's very well. It just really picks up where the Xbox 360 controller left off. It still, just by leaps and bounds, differentiates itself from the PS4 controller, which is pretty good itself. And there's really, I can't just go on forever about it. You just have to try one. From how long I've used it, I like all the features. It feels great. And you know, if you have an option or a friend that has one, or just take my word for it, if your console choice is just coming down kind of based on the controller, the Xbox One controller definitely doesn't disappoint. If you want to check out the video of the Play and Charge kit, it's a few videos down in my list. I'll probably put it like a comment, the link or something to it, but it'll be somewhere. You should be able to find it on this video. So thanks for watching. I hope this helped you. And if you did like it, please hit the like button, or the thumbs up as they call it now. And I'll see you in the next video, so have a good one.